I'm not saying we don't support her. I'm just saying ignoring the levitation is probably not the best way to do it. And you're like, thanks, dude.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host, who is across the pond. It's our resident Egyptologist of the pod, DL. How are you, mate?
Loud noises.
Blown
I'm
away.
good, mate.
Blown away.
I'm good. How are you? Blown away by the spectacle of what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, I'm good, dude. Can't complain. Life's coming at you fast, right?
How's it been an Egyptologist? How's that going for you?
I just head over to the British National and, do my work, right? That's 90% of what I need is there.
Pretty much everything. Yeah, absolutely. We the British are really good at that, or have been in the past. I don't know. Would you reckon they'll ever give it all back?
I don't think so. No. They don't even pay them for it, so
they should. I'm not going to lie to you. It's pretty bad at this point. It's pretty bad. How have you been, mate?
Good, dude. It's like, lot going on, but you can't complain. Still,
you seem like you want to, though.
No, who's going to listen, right? I've had a weekend to myself this week because the wife started a new job. Yeah, the house is messy. I'm just like watching all the shows that I want, reading, catching up on finance stuff. It's been good.
I'm looking forward to what you've been up to. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. I love those days. I had to tell that today to myself. Literally, the beautiful fiance was away, as in she was away with her family, and she always says, "Do you want to come with me?" And I'm like, I mean, is that really a question? Like, and if it is, I'm happy for you to do this.
No.
and sometimes she says yes, and I'm like, I'm gonna do all the weird shit that I want to do on my own. I'm gonna watch movies for all the podcasts I do. So yeah, I had one of those days myself today, and it was bloody brilliant. But we had a 40th birthday the other day, and I was like, these are coming thick and fast now. This is concerning. Like, I'm still 18 months away, dude. Like, you
had a 40th birthday.
I'm not there yet. No, we went to one. We went to a 40th birthday. I've started a trend.
Yeah. But you're like connected with like old people.
I know. Well, it's all my fiance's friends. She got there. She's already there. She hit that milestone. And yeah, like all her friends are kind of copying me now. Like I started a trend among them because I obviously did for anyone who doesn't know this, we talked a few weeks ago about, I did like a big surprise birthday party for my fiance's 40th. Where 20 of her friends all came to her favorite restaurant, and we booked like the whole top floor. It was beautiful. It was, all the things you want, surprising, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. Now all of her friends are doing it, and it's not the same anymore. I'm like, you lose the magic if everyone does it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be like, I don't like surprises.
Oh yeah, you don't.
I might be angry. And then like everyone's like, surprise. I'm like, fuck. Why are you here?
Get out.
I was expecting a nice night in. Like, if you're just like, imagine you just like, had like a long day and then like all of a sudden you got to be like super social. Like, I don't know. Anyway.
You could just delete some Guinnesses and then maybe send some more emails to people we think are great but are going to reject us.
Yeah, that's what I'm good at.
I mean, that's the dream.
Yeah. How about you, man?
Is it not?
Anything? No, it is the dream.
Honestly.
It's every weekend I wake up to do it. It's like why I live.
I really want some more of those. That's probably my favorite ever piece of social media we've ever posted. Firstly, yours, which, by the way, golden. I mean, the OG, and then obviously myself waking up to find out I've done the same thing. Guys, anyone, if you want to check out what we're talking about, check out our social media feeds, TikTok, Instagram. We're at Podcast Assemble. We're everywhere. You can find us on all the socials. But there's a couple of very specific ones with James Islington in mind, who is the author of one of our favorite books, Twadham, The Will of the Many, and his lovely secretary.
We're really putting her to work, aren't we?
We're her favorite peoples in the world. Guys, look, if you want to stick around and listen to a chat about our weeks, feel free. There will be Timecodes in the description. As always, supplied by the beautiful Miss Ava Ramshaw. Her work is fantastic. Thank you so much, Ava, for making us look good, sound good. We don't actually look like this. We say this every week. Dre is actually, as I said last week, a 2, maybe even 3,000-year-old mummy. I don't know how she does it. Makes him look great. You can find her fantastic work at www.avaramshaw.com. And way down there, while you're clicking around, while you're looking at what's coming next and what we're going to talk about soon, feel free to give us a 5-star or a subscribe or a like. All the things that help us with ratings and algorithms and things we don't really understand. DL, you just mentioned you've been up to a lot of cool things. So what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, I have basically I haven't binged watched a show, and I can't tell you how long because I just haven't had the time. But I started Slow Horses, and I'm already like halfway through season 3. To be fair, they're only like 6-episode seasons, so it's not like
This is a round of applause, by the way. It's because it goes around.
But they,
how many episodes are you in? / seasons.
Season 3, episode 4, I think. Season 1 so far has clearly been the best.
Yeah, it is. I think it kind of, I don't think it ever tops season 1, but I do think there's a lot of good stuff in there as well. Like, I think the seasons take different trajectories. I think they all have very high highs, but I think the late seasons are probably more middling lows, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the fact that like there's a couple characters that are really compelling, like make it, not as big a deal. But the storyline in general is like, it doesn't really beat season 1, which is odd because it's like mostly about internal dynamics rather than like, I think that's part of why I like it.
That's the most interesting part of it, I think. Yeah.
Awesome show. Is it adapted? Are all seasons? I know the first season was a book.
Yeah, they're all from books, I believe. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they all are, but they are. I just think that characterization, like there's some, and this might be one of the problems with it because they are so good, the characters, and they're so well played. You kind of get used to it and you kind of get into a flow with it and you kind of guess what they're going to do. And, old mate Gary Oldman's always going to be 4 steps ahead of the curve. I'd kind of like them to throw some, spanners in the works occasionally. Maybe he isn't 4 steps ahead of everyone else. You know what I mean? Maybe it's River who solves it this time. Like I feel they have got into a bit of a pattern with it and it would be cool to
like
see
a sitcom pattern
them change that. Yeah. I mean, a little bit, like not in a jokey way, but you always know, like what's the storyline of season 3, for example? What's
like
going
a
on
formula
so far?
for the episode? To be honest, this one's like the least compelling story so far, but it's starting to try. I see what they're trying to do. It's the one where they've got like the MI5, like this guy's like lost his partner due to something she was going to leak, and he thinks he thinks they killed her for it, and so he's kind of gone rogue as a part of like this internal strike team, but he's going to go and actually do what they're not supposed to do. Like the strike team is like a pen test, but he actually makes it real by capturing Standish.
I really like that. I really like that. I really liked what I think I like about it is that everything they do sort of has a gravitas and has almost like a real life parallel to things that have happened in the UK over the years. If you look back, like there's the terrorist attacks in one of them. There's a lot of them that you can kind of go, oh, that's kind of looks like it's from that thing, which I really like. But you're right. That season isn't maybe as good, but I think there's better action in that season. I think there's more that goes on. And it really, that season fleshes out some of the other characters a little bit more, like the female character whose name just gone from my brain. It's really bad. Who, River becomes like good mates with, but it's almost like a codependent relationship. She's almost like a therapist to him and vice versa. I really like that. Mm-hmm. And I also really like the High Sparrow in it, who is his granddad.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
And the former head of MI6, MI5, whichever it is.
Yeah, spy legend. I'm enjoying it. It's really good.
I'm glad you took my recommendation. That's a good one. That's a good one to be watching.
It took a while. I always wanted to. A lot of people have recommended it as well, so it was like in my list. It was just kind of, when do I start?
Has the wife been watching it with you or just you?
No, she's gone. This is not one that I was going to get her.
Okay, right.
Spy thriller. It's just like she, even though she would like it, as soon as she hears the top level, hey, this is about like spies, she's going to be like me.
I mean, the main character's cute. She'd get away with River. Maybe she'd enjoy it for that fact at least. Although he does get more depressing as the seasons go on.
Although River, while he is quite capable, he's also really good at being bad.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I also think he's very and you find this more as you go through. I think there are people he's got this almost conspiracy theory mind. Oh, people are working against me almost. I think they may actually be a little bit I'm not saying like trying hard, but I think there's a little bit of like holding him back in certain respects. You find out a lot more about his granddad and his ties to MI6 and stuff and other things in his family as the seasons go on. And you're a bit like, oh, maybe they are actively trying to
yeah, maybe.
It's interesting. It's a good dynamic.
I like him as an actor. You said he was in the running for Bond.
I don't know if he is. He's very Scottish though. I'd like another Scottish Bond. Oh, that's a fun one if he is.
I think he'd be good.
I think he'd be great too. So he's maybe a bit too young, although Yeah, I feel like Bond needs to be just a little bit. I don't know though. Saying that, like the original Bond is kind of an older looking guy.
I think they said they were going to do a young Bond.
They could. I think it's a weird one because, like, with that, you need to be committed to at least 10 years, if not more, maybe 15. And you couldn't go for like an Idris Elba now, or even like a Henry Cavill who's pushing his 40s, if not already in his 40s. Because like by the time he's in his 50s, it's not going to be the same. You know what I mean? It's not going to look the same or feel the same. So
I also just think you don't want an actor that's like that big, right, for this role. Like I think Bond should be kind of almost like a Game of. No, I mean,
I'm kidding.
Like in terms of brand. Like I think Bond should elevate the actor. The actor shouldn't elevate Bond.
But they should already be a good actor. Does that make sense? Like they should already be a good actor, but it should take him to that next level. You don't want a bad
actor, but yeah.
Timothy Dalton was all right. I agree. I don't really know who though. There's a lot of talk of Aaron Taylor-Johnson. I don't know if I
see. Like he's too big. I don't think he. I mean, I think he'd be fine at it. But I think he's too big.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk of different folks. I'm trying to think of who recently. Who's the guy who we talked about recently who was in Frankenstein? The big guy, Jacob Elordi. There's talk of him for some reason. The thing with Bond is, like, he should, in some ways, blend in. He's a spy. You know what I mean? Like, he should blend in a crowd. And if you've got someone who's like...
Yeah, River kind of does.
Yeah, I think he does too. He's a little bit ranger, though, so maybe it'd be easy to pick out. But, yeah, I'd be down for him. Why not? Give him a go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a thing we were watching actually the other day, and it's funny you're talking about things that your partner won't watch. I think that my partner has been watching it. This is an extension of a thing of my old favorite segment, which is a thing my partner's watching. I was watching over her shoulder. She's been watching Succession, which I started to be a bit like, oh, I kind of wanted to watch this in the first place, and she was already sort of halfway through the first season, so I dipped in, and I've been watching bits of it with her, and I've actually really enjoyed it. But the thing that really pulled me in, there's a new documentary on Netflix called The Murdochs, which has only come out in the last like 2 or 3 weeks. It's like 3 or 4 episodes, super short, super sharp. God, it's interesting. Oh, it's so interesting watching about their lives. They are just such weird. They're almost like inbred. They're such weird humans. It's so strange. And they're all pitted against each other. It's like dogfighting almost. And the thing I really enjoyed about it was because I got into watching the series Succession with the fiance, you can literally map out the seasons of Succession to what's actually happened in their lives. It's crazy. It's not even a homage at this point. Like if you watch this documentary, you literally sitting there going like, oh, they just took the script and made it into a TV show. It's mad.
Well, it's known that it was like inspired by that, right?
I knew it was inspired by it, but I didn't realize like it's a like for like. It's like there's bits in the show and you're like, oh, that's the bit with the cruise ship, and you're going like, oh, I get it. Did you ever watch Succession when it was on?
No, it's another one on the list. That's actually one that I wanted to watch ahead of Slow Horses, but I think I could get Gail into that one if I tried. So I'm gonna try.
Okay. It's a slow burn. It's real. Yeah, it's more about the like family politics stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. But Rupert Murdoch's like fucking nearly 100. How that man is still going is literally like willpower and blue tack at this point. It's crazy how he's still going. But yeah, he's really still kicking, isn't he? What else have you been up to?
I've started the second book of what is it? I forget the guy's name, and it's like a Chinese name, so I'm gonna butcher it. But the 3-Body Problem, book number 2, which is the Dark Forest or something. Apparently, it's about to come out, the new season, so good timing for me, I guess.
I didn't know that. I didn't even know they'd got a second season. That's mad.
It didn't get as bad of ratings as like opinions on it. Like meaning like your opinion on it is probably much lower than the ratings it got, despite it being what I would argue is like not the best adaptation. It's not the worst, but it's not the best.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, it's like got such a good book following that people will, tune in, I think.
Yeah, it's set for a 2026 release. There you go. I didn't realize that. And there's a third season as well. Interesting.
Oh, they filmed 2 in a row.
I don't know. I think it just got renewed for a second and third season. So
yeah. The book is quite large, the second one. It's like significantly bigger than the first. So
is the first season all of the first book?
There's some stuff in the first season that comes from the second book, I'm finding. Okay. Just a few things, not a lot. Like if you remember the end, you probably don't remember this because I know you don't like the show.
No, I do. Spoilers. Let's just say spoilers for the 3-Body Problem on Netflix.
Yeah, spoilers for the 3-Body Problem on Netflix. I'm pretty sure there's a couple things and I'm not positive, but like the Wall Watcher Project or whatever they call it.
Which one's that?
It's like where they appoint all these different people to be like the people that will lead, and they're just random people, and they've decided it.
Yeah.
That is like just being introduced,
and whatever they decide is right.
Yeah, that is just being. It's not that. It's kind of like whatever, they are going to be the ones to decide a bunch of things, and they don't tell anyone the strategy behind what they're doing.
That's
because the one advantage that they have over the triceratopses or whatever the hell these aliens are called. I know they're not called triceratopses. But
I wish they were, though. I wish they were just triceratops. Imagine that you see these spaceships coming over, and they beam down, and they're just big fucking triceratopses.
Be great.
That's a better show. Fucking copyright that shit. Make that immediately. We were talking about a film on the other podcast. Go check out No Country for Old Films. We were talking about a film called Iron Sky the other day, which, if you don't know, neither of us have actually watched it, but we were talking about like the premise for it, which is just beautiful. It's Nazis on dinosaurs on the moon, and I'm just like, this is. what else do I need to tell you? I want to watch all of that immediately.
Pick one of those things. You don't need all three.
Exactly. The moon, that's cool too. You know, like Nazis too. All right. Oh man, like Triceratops is coming over the hills in spaceships. I'm in. You've sold me. I'm back into the show.
Anyway, there's stuff that's just coming out in the book, or just I'm just getting to in the book that like they close the season out with. That there's that whole thing like you are bugs. I don't know if that was like an adaptation choice. That hasn't happened yet in my readings, but that happens in season 1.
What about the brain going to space?
Yeah, that didn't happen in the book at all. So maybe it's a season 2 thing.
And it hasn't happened in book 2?
Well, I'm only like 20 pages in. So basically the whole book 1 is like them discovering the fact that there are aliens coming.
Yeah.
And the story of like how they found it. And the fact that there's like this group of people that actually are trying to welcome them and helping them, and the initial like conflict with them. That's the book 1. A bunch of other stuff that's in season 1 is clearly pulled from somewhere in book 2. I don't know when.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's D&D, isn't it? Isn't that the two guys who ruined Game of Thrones?
Our best buds.
Best buds. We love them. Okay, interesting. I mean, like, if you recommend the show when it comes out, I will certainly give it a second go. But I would, first season,
I'm kind of bummed I didn't read the book first, because reading the first book, that's why I'm reading the second one now. Because reading the first book was like, if I didn't know some of the mysteries, it would have been like highly intriguing. Like, but because I like had some of it obviously spoiled from the movie or the show, like I know it. It was still really good, but not as good. And so I don't want to have the same thing happen for season 2. So I'm going to read the book ahead of just watching the show. So I would say you should watch it, just mainly because it's such a hard thing to adapt. I'm wondering, honestly, as an educational exercise, like how they try and think about it.
I mean, they have done good adaptations previously. They've definitely done that.
The first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones, I think, were really well adapted.
5 seasons. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
I mean, like you and everyone else, like go look at the highest scoring episode of Game of Thrones on IMDb. I'm pretty sure it's from season 6.
I thought they ran out of material after season 4, so I don't think they were actually adapting after that, were they?
Season 5, they made bad adaptation choices. It's actually one of the worst seasons, I'd argue, of the ones with books. And then season 6, I would say, is a comeback where they like some of the stuff is not written, but it's highs
in that. Yeah.
It's very, very clear where the story's going. So it's like easy to infer the stuff that isn't written. And then after that, it's kind of all nebulous. And that's when they really fucking screwed the pooch. But even then, there was enough there in foreshadowing that they could have done better, is my point.
Do better.
This book is really hard to adapt because it like spans centuries. So I don't know how you fucking...
Oh, interesting.
I don't know how you do that, but we'll see.
You mean as in, because I know in the first season it does the time flip between, the 30s and then the present. Is that what you mean, or as in it just goes centuries into the future?
I mean, I think like this book, in the one I'm about to watch it. I'm pretty sure halfway through it like jumps even farther, because basically the story they're telling is the 400-year like timeline of like when they know the aliens are coming and how civilization adapts over that time.
That's right.
So it's just like, how do you tell a story like that where you're changing characters all the time.
I just hope they get rid of whoever that female protagonist was in the first season. I hope she
You didn't
dies
like
that quickly because
you didn't like the hot Colombian chick,
dude. She all more power to her. She's a beautiful human being, but she cannot act. Sorry to tell anyone who's put her in their DVDs, movies, whatever. She's not a good actor. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah, final thing that I've done this week. Actually, yeah, it was literally like 2 days ago. We watched one of the newer Stephen King adaptations. You know how this year it's like been the last 5 years, everything's been a Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing it that way. They should really. People are going to get over it.
All dumped all at the same time. Everything everywhere all at once has been Stephen King. We actually talked about doing this one for the podcast, so it's called The Long Walk. Have you seen the trailers for that one?
Yeah, that's the one where they're like army something or other, and they're just walking on a road, and it's like the last one. I don't really understand
It's a dystopian future, classic Stephen King, and it's sort of in a kind of in America in maybe 5 years. It feels like when everything has gone to shit, the economy's died. There's been some sort of war, and every year they run this walk, which is to raise morale, which effectively they get one person from every single state. I think it's all boys, and they all have to walk until there is only one left. And it's a military-led operation. And yeah, man, it's pretty fucking depressing considering we watched it over the Easter weekend. It was dark and bleak.
Yeah,
but it's got a really
King.
Dude, it had a really good cast though. I liked everyone in it. It had the guy from Alien Romulus. We talked about that recently, didn't we? The guy who was the android, who was the black guy. Fantastic in this, like really good. And the cast around him's good. It's this sort of tale of, finding friends in unusual places and, keeping each other going and finding a purpose in life. And it was surprisingly like the ending was like kind of uplifting while simultaneously being horrifically depressing at the same time. I really got into it. I mean, admittedly, like we probably shouldn't have watched it when we did. It was Easter, and we both wanted something uplifting, and I was like, let's watch this film. Bad choice, but at the same time, it was everything I like about cinema. It had deep meaning. It had great acting. It was really well cast. Mark Hamill, for God's sake, was the army guy. So it's obviously all kids of between like, I think they're supposed to be over 18, but some of the ones sneak into this walk. It's like mostly young men, so 18 to like 21 or whatever. And there's this army general who's like, it feels like they're very much in a lockdown state, very much like a military state at this point. And they're sort of like just driving along on tanks or like trucks in front of them, military trucks. And Mark Hamill is just like, it's such an interesting turn by him, such a different characterization. I really enjoyed it. Like probably now's a good time if your wife's away. Now's a great time to get that watched because it's a little depressing, but it's a very good film.
Yeah, I'm good on this. I don't need my Sunday scaries to be enhanced.
You don't want to do that?
But I will pass.
You don't want to be depressed? It's good.
Yeah, it's not for me, mate. It's not for me.
It's gory as fuck as well. Like I did not expect like. Man, some of it's like, in these types of films, you get like a headshot or whatever and the camera puts away at the exact right moment so that you see the shot, but you don't see it. This is like full head exploding. It's grim and brutal. And like all you have to do is just break the rules. Like one guy needs to take a shit real bad. So he loses and gets shot. It's a mess. It's a real mess. But it was good. Yeah, it had a lot of good things about it.
I got my gore fill for this week with the movie you fucking picked for today.
Wow, that is a beautiful segue.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful segue. Guys, if there's anything we haven't talked about that you recommend, please send them over. Hit us up. You can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're everywhere. You can send us Gmails to thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. I almost said the Gmail at gmail.com. That's not an email address.
Gmail.com.
You can find us everywhere. We've got a website, www.podcastassemble.com. I can speak today. I really can. Just send us stuff. Send us memes. Send us news. Send us reviews. We'll always call you back. We'd love to. So then, DL, you were just about to do it there. Do you want to re-preface our main topic?
It's the main topic theme.
This week we are doing The Mummy by, what's his name? Lee Cronin.
It is actually called Lee Cronin's The Mummy, apparently. I didn't realize that, but it is.
Cool.
For reasons.
That also works.
For reasons that become apparent
I guess they really,
as you start to watch this film.
don't want to confuse us.
I mean, they did. A lot of people, everyone I've talked to about this film was like, "Oh, is there a new one with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz?" I'm like, nope.
Well, like imagine if they didn't say Lee Cronin's. Then it'd be like really confusing. So I guess it's better than it could have been.
I didn't realize it was that until about an hour before we started podcasting. So I've been telling everyone I went to cinema to see The Mummy, and everyone has had the same reaction, which is not.
I
unusual.
wish I did that.
Yeah, I
That would have been more
an
fun.
old version too. We're gonna do non-spoilers and then sort of quick spoilers at the end. You got a stupid plot summary for this?
Yeah, it's The Exorcist, but with a pyramid.
Very small pyramid, very like small and
very unimpressive with an unimpressive pyramid. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't need to he doesn't need to show up for anyone, does he? Mine is just this ain't your grandpappy's The Mummy. That's it. No. Very simple. And I went to see this with friend of the show Luke, who I'll talk about some interesting things about why that made the viewing experience different for me. But the reason why, right up top in this movie, I walked in and we were having a joke and chatting about this film. He's like, "Oh, you've seen Lee Cronin films before, right?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know a lot about Lee Cronin." He's like, "Well, he obviously did Evil Dead Rise, and he's very well known for his body horror." And I was like, I knew he was known for his body horror, but Lee was like, "Oh no," Luke was like, "Oh no, he's really well known." I was like, "What have I got us in for here, TL? What? Yeah. What are we getting into?" The cast is pretty solid though. Jack Rayner, who you would know from Midsommar, if that's a film you've seen. Laia Costa, who is the mom. We have May Calamaway. My God, I really can't speak today. Who's a detective, and all the child cast are good as well. What's the TLDR for this DL?
Child. Yeah, it's just like so. Well, it's so the opposite of like the mythos of The Mummy that like it just pisses me off that they did this.
I think if you look back at the very originals, you go back to like the 30s, you're probably going to get closer to this because they were trying to scare you.
Yes, but that's not what anyone in the last 40 years would
think so.
Back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not even like in the last bit. Yeah, like the ethos of The Mummy right now, or like prior to this, would have been like a combination of like almost like Indiana Jones and like a little bit of horror, but in the 90s, which is like
kid-friendly horror.
Better. So much better than this. So you go into that expecting that it's like way different. It's the TLDR on this is it's like a horror movie. Like I think it is like it's kind of turns into The Exorcist, but with the premise of you've got these two kind of career-driven couples whose job is taking them to Egypt, and the premise is one of their kids gets kidnapped. Something they think for years that she's gone. Suddenly, a year later, they get a call that she's been found, but something is awry.
Something is really wrong.
She's not exactly the same, but they need to pick her up. And if this was
they're like, please
if this was any kind of normal situation, as soon as they went to go pick her up, this movie would be fucking over.
All I could think of when I got to that point and they're like, come pick her up, and they get to the hospital and she's all like catatonic and messed up. I was like, you know that scene in like Scary Movie where it's like, white people dead and we getting the fuck out of here. That's how I felt. I was like, that is
nope. You guys can. You guys can keep her here.
She's all yours. Help yourself.
The state has a medical system for a reason.
Yeah.
I pay my
taxes. Even prove she's our daughter. How can you promise that?
Good luck. Good luck. I'll come every now and again. Yeah.
Well, she makes a very interesting physical transformation, which I think we'll talk a lot in this. But if you were to extend that physical transformation and make everybody else in this film Muppets, bar one person, DL, who would you keep as the human person and who would you keep as the Muppets?
Who's in it enough to matter?
I feel like the grandma would be funny. The grandma would be funny if everyone around her was Muppet. And even the mummy was a Muppet. You know what I mean?
The mummy, I would much prefer to be a Muppet. That would make the movie better.
Oh, but could you imagine like some of the weird shit that happens at the end of this film that we'll touch on in spoilers when with that a Muppet doing some of that stuff? Oh.
But it wouldn't be as gruesome because it'd be a Muppet, right?
I don't know. I mean, body horror to its best. I'm going to stick with the grandma. I think that's pretty funny.
Because you could make it funny. You could make it funny because it'd be like, it's a Muppet, so it'd be like seams, but it'd be like fluff, not gore.
I'm behind you.
Yeah. Or like when she's like, I want to taste your little piggies.
Oh, mate, that was a bit I was saving up for later. That's one of the creepiest bits in a film I've seen in so
this whole
long.
movie, dude. Anyway, that's the premise. It's just a series of terrible decisions, as always, but like mainly just like one bad decision. I think this movie lost me in the first like 20 minutes because the basic premise I just could not abide, which is you see this child after a year where they found her in a sarcophagus by happenstance because of a plane crash. And they call, the parents back. They're like, come on over. We found your daughter. And you see that she literally looks like a zombie, dude.
It's
she's
terrifying.
not like, she doesn't look like a normal child. Like, it's not like, oh, she's like, and then she progresses to the Exorcist level of craziness. She kind of looks that way at the start. And there's just no scenario where any parent is just like, yeah, we're going to like look past this. There's just no scenario.
The first thing I said to Luke was when you see her for the first time and she's all like, like her hands are all fucked up and her feet are the same and she's her toenail. At least I was like, I think it's time to just take old Yeller out back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, her skin is like gray and torn. It's like, guys, what are we doing?
That's not your daughter anymore. Like, it's truly not. There's some really interesting like pieces of like trivia, sort of. I suppose it's trivia around this. So effectively, Director Lee Cronin, sort of the grief of him losing his mother was one of the big motivators behind writing this film. And you can see grief in this in a big way. Like, I feel like it's definitely a theme of the movie, but it feels like a lot more than that. Like, there's way, like this leans on something deeper and darker within Lee Cronin, I feel.
I mean, like, the guy makes really weird horror movies. I just don't know if like a body horror movie is like the premise a good like mix with like the Egyptology style like lore of the mummy in Egypt. Like,
depends on which one you go for, but yeah,
like, yeah, I get it because it is quite. Some people would argue like, no, like mummification is a gnarly process whereby they like
grim.
They do a bunch of crazy stuff, but they didn't even touch on that. Yeah,
it's not a traditional mummy in that. I mean, like, if you think back to, you were talking about the Brendan Fraser one. If you think back to that, like, there's great body horror in those with Armand Vosloo. So like the mummy in that film, when he is like a half skeleton, half kind of corpse thing, and that, I forget, like, that's super interesting. Oh, it's like. So if you remember the premise of that film is whoever opens the tomb to the mummy, he sucks out their being, which sounds great, actually. Funnily enough, there's probably a point in there a little bit where it feels great. He sucks out their being, and one by one he regenerates. And when he's only got one or two of them, he is sort of like half, and like he's got half his like face missing here. And
yeah.
There's bits of it that are done really, really well and really interestingly. But you're right, it's not really a mummy. It's just some weird demon thing.
Yeah, well, they just don't even really touch on, like, I don't know, like, if not for the pyramid and the wrappings, like it wouldn't even need to be Egypt.
And the wrappings are just laid on it. They're not actually. She's not actually wrapped in them at any point. But you see, so the thing I mentioned to you before, I went to this with friend of the show, Luke. Right, so friend of the show, Luke.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, mate. Absolute legend. And he gave me a really different perspective while we were watching this film. So the core crux of this for the first half an hour probably is the grief of this family who've had a daughter kidnapped from them. And his friend of show, Luke, congrats, mate, has just had his first little baby. She's probably 3 months old by now. And he came out of this being a bit like that. At least that first chunk of the film gave him real feels. He was like, I can't imagine my child being kidnapped at any point. That would be horrific. And I completely understand that. And I think, an exploration of losing your daughter in a way or another is quite interesting. It just turns into something completely different very quickly when they get her back, and it doesn't.
10 minutes.
It loses some, right, and it loses some of that weight, that real like, it grounds it in reality, and it doesn't really have that after 25 minutes of the film, which is kind of sad because it just gets dark.
There were some cool moments where you got like some lines. You got some lines where it was like they kind of like finally faced both of their guilt and their like anger towards the other during like I think halfway in the movie where it tied back to that.
They got really mean to each other.
But but it's just like hard to like do what he does in the back half and also do that kind of stuff together. For like, at least as a viewer, like I'm just kind of like, it was too over the top of a concept and execution in terms of like the horror that it doesn't jive with that like type of movie for me.
Agree. Completely agree. I think there are things we'll touch on when we get more towards spoilers that sort of they give a reason why it's heightened. It's part of the lore of the whole mummy piece, and they give, but I don't think that necessarily lands as it should. Like it doesn't. It's kind of almost like an offhanded comment, which, you know, like I get it, but I think, as you say, it doesn't land that well. But I guess that at least the mummy looks kind of creepy.
Yeah, no, totally, very creepy. I guess like I don't know. Maybe the tone was also ruined by the fact that like I was watching this on a ripped version because I could not be asked to pay for this, and there was just like Pakistani like betting adverts. Dude, there was Pakistani betting adverts literally
on the side,
thrown in randomly all the time.
Amazing.
Like, but it was like, it was actually kind of sophisticated what they did. It was like over the movie. Like it wasn't like, oh, it stopped. It was like overlaid. So the movie kept going. And then you'd have like the advert over the top. And one of these kicked in at the absolute worst time, which is when they enter the hospital and they're like revealing her for the first time. And it's like this slow build. And in the background, it's like, hello, Betex. Like, they're all like doing this dance. And I'm just like, oh no. I think if there was a tone here, I've lost it for sure. Yeah.
That's true.
That's my fault. But honestly, it made it better for me. It was a little more entertaining, to be honest.
I mean, that certainly would give you a little reprieve from all of the like classic body horror going on in this.
It wasn't as scary.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I think. Well, see, we went to the cinema to see this because it is just out in cinemas here, and it's the first cinema I've been in a long time that was like completely pitch black. Like, you know, in cinemas there's normally like little lights that show you what seat you're going to and all that stuff. They didn't have any of that. It was pitch black. There was one little light in the ceiling and that was it. But what was really funny about my viewing of it was that whoever was on the door, whoever was like scanning tickets to send people in, were clearly sending people into the wrong cinema. So around about a quarter of the way into this, people started coming in, and a girl came and sat like along from where we were, and she was like, "Oh, is this Project Hail Mary?" And Luke was just like, "Yes."
Can you imagine?
So they must have sat through like 15 minutes, and then he felt bad, so he turned around and was like, "Actually, no, it's really not Project Hail Mary. You want to go find a different cinema." But people kept coming in, so like the whole way through, like they were clearly sending them into the wrong cinema, which was pretty gruesome.
Yeah, that's terrible. That I would feel really bad if I did that to someone.
It was actually really funny because one of the times they walked in was a point in the movie when, so the kid comes home and they try, like the recommendation of the doctor, big fucking quotation marks, was to take the kid home, nurture her, and try and, you know, build her back up in a nurturing, loving environment. Bullshit. They wanted her out of that hospital as quickly as possible. The point when a couple came in,
I just can't believe he pulled it off.
Yeah, mad props to that guy. A couple came in and sat down, literally at the point where, you know, there's that scene when the grandma's trying to, like, you know, soothe her and she's praying over her, and the kid leans forward and just nuts her, just chins her right in the nose. And that was the minute this couple walked in, and they literally walked straight back out.
They're like,
yeah, they were like, nope. I guess that begs the question. Did you find the scares like effective? Did you think, like, as a horror movie, by your advertisements?
You know, it could have been the advertisements that changed it. It could have been the crappy quality, or the fact that I just like wasn't really excited about this movie, so I wasn't like fully engrossed to like.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I didn't find it that scary at all.
It
was so over the top that like I couldn't be. There's a couple pop scares, but like I wasn't that scared.
Right. And I think it was quite formulaic at times as well. Like,
yeah.
I was talking about Luke about this afterwards. So often you can kind of find the tricks and the formulas in it. Often they would center the camera so that whoever's head was around sort of on the left hand side, so you knew something was going to happen on the right, and they didn't necessarily change that up too much, so it got a bit predictable. And I felt it was very predictable when they were going to do the scale. Yeah, and there's ways of doing that, right? Like it's the Jaws thing. We talk about this every week. Like you build and build, and then you eventually you eventually pay it off, but I don't think they did that in this. They just used it and carried on using it all the way through. So I didn't find it that scary. The only thing I did find scary was the sound design, because there's a bit when the kid's like running through the wall and it's like,
yeah, they're like scampering.
And you obviously didn't get this, but in the cinema it was very 4D, so you could kind of hear it running around behind you. So it made it really kind of like almost interactive, and it was really cool, because that bit was probably the freakiest bit of the whole film, when she kind of like woke up out of a thing and she was eating like fucking scorpions and shit. I was like, I thought the wolves were gonna have something. The wolves, what the fuck were they there for?
That was just like an ode to probably The Omen or something. I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I just don't know what they were there for. I think you're right though. Like there's a lot of you mentioned a couple of films. There's a lot of The Descent in this. I don't know if you've seen The Descent. That film has a lot of weird elements like this. And also, have you seen Orphan? Did you know that film?
I'm not a big horror guy unless it's like really, really acclaimed. Like there's a lot of like, there's horror that transcends the genre where it brings other people in. And there's not like this. B horror. No, definitely not this. The B horror that like horror fans will be like, this is good, like B horror. Like this is like the best that you can get that doesn't transcend it, because they like love the genre. Sure. I just like don't really love that kind of stuff. So I just like generally stay away from it unless it transcends, right?
I'm almost entirely with you. I've seen the film Orphan a long time ago, because I don't know, I watched it with a friend, or we came home or something and we watched it, and it's about a family who take in what they think is a child that turns out to be just a very young looking adult who basically takes over their lives.
Frightening.
It is weird. But there's a lot of that in this, I feel.
I actually have heard of that. I've heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a couple of older ones as well that I can't remember the name of, which are horrifying and and there's a bit of that in this. There's a bit of that, like switching out a person for something way more horrifying. In terms of the cinematography then, how did you feel about it? Like, what was your overall perspective?
I didn't really think about it much, to be honest. There was, to your point, there was like a lot of like, clearly this has been done before, in like, there was just so much of like The Exorcist in it.
Agreed.
The voice, like, that's been, I haven't seen these movies, but I've seen the trailers, and it feels like that's been done with like the Annabelle and like all, like it just didn't really seem like it did much new, to be honest.
I completely agree. And the Mummy for me should lean into like some magical and mysticism and at least a bit of that. And it didn't really do that.
They tried to do that with The Magician.
Yeah. I didn't mind that, but I didn't love it either. Like it was kind of okay. It didn't draw me in. And I get he was trying to ground it in reality. And I think if you'd have carried on with those first 15 minutes where it was more about that terror of losing a child, I think it would have made more thematic sense and it would have been a better film. Anything else you want to say about it before we do some very quick spoilers?
No, I'm good, man. I'm trying to remember what spoils. Like I guess like what happens after she's at the house is all spoilers.
Yeah,
so.
Right. I mean, there's a few things we can talk to, but like before we do that, then are there any other themes that we haven't mentioned? I kind of mentioned identity.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, holding on to someone who's changed,
Yeah.
Being really mean, the mum.
Ambition versus like, well, the mom is like, guilt.
What did you text me? This is some serious gaslighting.
Like everybody's gaslighting each other and they're all gaslighting themselves. The husband at one point is just like, what? Like he's rational to it. Like halfway through the movie, he becomes rational. And it's like, this is what you should have been like minute one, but
the entire time.
Yeah. And he's just like, no, I just think we need to like, I'm not saying we abandon her, but let's recognize that like her levitating is not normal. It's like, yeah, dude. Like, thanks, bro. That was cathartic for the viewer.
And she's like, no, I can change her. I'm like,
it's like, no, but like, no, we just need to support her. He's like, I'm not saying we don't support her. I'm just saying ignoring the levitation is probably not the best way to do it. And you're like, thanks, dude. And then she just pulls out like the most fucked up shit ever at that point, which is just like, they get into the like, you were there when she was kidnapped. And it's like, how is that relevant? She's levitating right now.
We'll come back. We'll come back to that. There's a point, but you're absolutely right. Like there's bits where you just go, how can you overlook this? You know what I mean? Like this is the bit where she's running around the back. They've got like almost got like behind the walls in that house, which I never seen in a real house. And she's running around all them. You're like,
big house. Yeah.
You're not you're not going to let that go. It's like, it's old Yeller time, like get the gun. Come on, it's time.
There's stuff that's like not even like the typical horror thing is like, don't do that. You're making a bad decision. This is like the whole premise is a bad decision. Like that's why I had a hard time. Like people always make dumb decisions once they're thrust into a situation. They just accepted this situation in a way that like no one would. Anyway, I digress.
It's hard though, because we don't have kids, so it's hard to know how you would respond if it was your own child. Let's do 3 best, 3 worst then. This is 3 reasons why you might want to watch this film, and 3 reasons why you might not want to watch this film, non-spoilers. Do you have any best?
I don't have any reasons to watch this film.
I genuinely struggled.
Unless you really like this director and want to see probably the lower end of his quality of work, then, go ahead.
I feel like if you really like horror, you might get something out of this. But if you don't, like us, you probably won't. Like there's not a lot here. What about worst? What are your worst, other than it's a film of bad decisions?
The storyline, the premise, the fact that they desecrated what I like is a good franchise. The idea that they think they're going to get a sequel by the way it ends, like if I'm ever in Pakistan, I know what betting app to use, but that's about all I got out of this experience.
Actually, you know what? I do have a best, and it's not necessarily about this film. It's more about horror movies in general. So the model for horror movies right now is you give it a very low budget, you pick like a really specific facet of horror, and you really go into that, and you make an interesting movie which is creative and dynamic and different in that specific subgenre. I'm not saying this is it, but I'm saying other movies. And they tend to do really well at the box office at the moment, which, for movies that are going out for like been made for like sort of 8 to 20 million, they're coming back with 100 million. This type of sort of figures. And I feel like that's the kind of model that certain movies should try and revert back to. So like we've kind of lost, the B tier sort of cinema. Let's be honest, mid-tier movies, budget-wise anyway, doesn't really happen that much anymore. I feel like I'd love to see an action movie, for example, where they've gone, okay, well, your budget's only 15 million, be creative. And they've had to make something which is really genre-specific, which is creative with the budget and with how they do things and how they enact things. I think that would make more money than just throwing 200 million at fucking Red Notice and saying, make a film out. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a good model.
Constraints actually usually, like in anything, business, whatever, usually like pressurized to create creativity, because like you have to be creative to create, because you're operating within like a constricted environment, so you have to think differently. You can't just do whatever you want. You have to think around corners and figure out how to make something out of like less.
Look at Godzilla -1. Great film. Like exactly that premise. Like take it Hollywood, do something with this.
Yeah, if you don't have $1 million, if you don't have $1 million to throw at an action scene, like what are you going to do for that 30 minutes? And by the way, no one wants to see the same hashed out like action scene. So I think you're right. I think it's interesting. It's also like just way less risk. Like putting up 20 million and having it bomb is like way better outcome than putting up 200 million and having it bomb. So I don't know why.
100%. And I think A24 have got a really good model for that, and how even the movies they have started creating. It makes sense. I don't know. I just don't understand. And I do understand, because producers just like to take 15 million for themselves, and big actors like to take 20 million for themselves. But DL, can you guess for me the current IMDb score for this?
Probably like, I'm going to like say lower because I just want to manifest. It's probably higher than this, but like 51.
It's 6.5. So yeah. I mean, that's pretty middling for IMDb. Like I feel like that's
it's worse than that.
I think there's probably a horror contingent out there who probably enjoyed this, but I don't know who they are.
Well, there's clearly like some people that like this director and are apologists for him.
Right. Almost certainly. What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score is then?
Got to be lower because the critics will track it down. So 56.
It's 45.
Oof. Good job.
That's brutal. Yeah, that's cold. Yeah. But like, good on him. Yeah, like, I mean, that's probably about right. And what do you think the Letterboxd is, which is always 3.6, but never 3.6?
2.4.
Oh, I thought you were going to get it. It's 2.9, which is weirdly the same as Waterworld that we talked about last time out, which I don't think in terms of that's That's a totally different quality of film and a significantly better film in general.
Yeah, prefer
Mate,
Waterworld.
it's way better.
Yeah.
Well then, okay. Well then, I remember you said Waterworld was better than Aquaman 2018.
Well, they both deal with water. That was a comparable.
That was all we really had.
That actually is a lot easier to compare than this one. But,
do you think quality-wise, this is better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
Aquaman's better for sure.
Wow, we've not had one of them in a while, have we? Fucking hell.
Aquaman's
and it's a
way
new
better.
film. You normally save them explicitly for like older films, which is wild.
The interesting part is like I actually do like the idea of taking old IP and not trying to redo and rehash the same story. And like if you're gonna go do like old IP, like just do something way different with it. And I'm just wondering if I'm a hypocrite because like I have like such a soft place for the first few Mummy films in my childhood. Like I really enjoyed them.
Mate, same, 100%.
So like maybe it's like that one I'm nostalgic about, and I'm like, why would you do? But I think it's also just like I don't like this type of movie. I don't think I think it's like you just tacked on the Mummy to make something that you wanted to make anyway to get more people to show.
I think it's because it's an IP which is available. Yeah, it's not copyrighted IP. I think that's probably why.
Yeah, I guess that's why. Like, but why am I like so anti this when like the premise of like using an IP and doing something way different with it, I'm okay with.
That is interesting because I mean, like I'm the same, right?
You know, like Jumanji was like a great example of that. Like,
yeah, right. I'm exactly the same.
Jumanji became like a comedy, but it was like an interesting play on like what the old one was.
Remake. I didn't love the remakes. I watched half of one of them.
Obviously, it's like not as good, but it never would be.
Sure.
So I'm like, if you're gonna remake it, like at least do something different, modernize it. They did with like a video. Like they did interesting things. Anyway, so I digress. I think the idea of making it into a proper horror is really intriguing. I just don't think the idea of like a child returning as a mummy is a good one.
And this is getting a lot of flack for that in the press.
Yeah, they just needed to like do a different story. Like the premise of this story is just absurd.
Just do a totally different film. Just make it different.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some quick spoilers.
It's an absurd premise. Yeah.
It's absurd. The spoilers I have, and I'll run through them quickly, and we can get deep into them. Is the whole canon that's the family get possessed, even the dead grandma, which is interesting. We'll talk about it in a minute. I think the grandma's death is pretty spectacular. The way the daughter and the son get possessed is pretty grim, and then the detective comes back to help the family. So there's a bit to unpack there, but like, it's not overly like. I mean, sorry, it's pretty overly obvious horror satire almost at one point. Like the bit where the dead grandma comes back to life. I'm like, come on, man. Like, fuck, what are we doing here?
There was some interesting bits. I found the fact that she possesses her and makes her call her teacher a cunt quite funny.
That was
like,
pretty.
If that's the worst we get, like
the young kid being possessed was pretty messed up. Like, let's be honest, it was pretty fucking nuts. And the bit where she's like picking her teeth out, I was like,
oh yeah, Jesus.
So she kills the grandma, which we sort of alluded to there, which is kind
Through
of
the window. Big spectacular death.
That bit for me was the most stereotypical in terms of the horror bits in the whole film. Where she's like, I'm behind you. And she's actually behind. I'm like, come on, man. Like, just leave. Like, the door's right there. You can just fucking leave.
And how about they still fucking gaslight themselves after the grandma flies through the window? They're like, yeah,
physically
maybe
impossible. And then the wolves eat her or something. I'm like, what is happening here? Well, I think it lost me about the halfway mark when so they brought her home.
Good for you.
And then
farther than me.
I was really trying to be in it, and like, 'cause I was trying to diversify. Like, we're not big horror guys. We've talked about this, but I was really trying. And then like that bit with the grandma, which is probably about halfway through the film, I was like, how can you even consider the grandma could physically do that? Like, what did she have, a jetpack propelling herself out the fucking window? No.
I don't know.
So it was, that bit for me, I'm pretty sure that's where it lost me. And then her coming back to life at the wake, it was almost like camp horror. I was like, what are we doing here? Is this, are we watching scary movies? Is that what's happening here? Because that wasn't interesting or fun. The son getting possessed and the second daughter being possessed, now that was kind of cool and kind of interesting. I quite liked what they were doing there because they kept the son kind of secret in a weird way, and then he came back with his baseball bat. Kind of like that.
Yeah, and it was tied at least to like what the demon was supposed to do, which was like sow discord amongst family.
That's what I was getting at before. When you were saying, "Oh, I don't know why all this escalate." I feel like that was supposed to be the supernatural element. I think the demon or whatever it was sowing this discord in the family was heightening everything, making them feel like their interpersonal relationships were the problem rather than it being the daughter. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, it didn't work. Like, it didn't feel earned or real,
I felt like a lot of the reactions to each other were like kind of normal things that you would go through. So I don't think that was like demon induced. But then like towards the end, it changed, obviously. I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. I just think, I if we could have this hour back and I could watch Theo Von be a busboy, I definitely would do it. So I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can recommend.
I'm never going to watch that film.
Post spoilers. I don't know if I can recommend this. What else happens? I think like grandma dies. Kids, basically, dad sacrifices himself essentially.
Like, but doesn't?
But then they like find the magician who like, oh, we didn't talk about this. There's spoilers. There's a whole like homemade video of the entire process of her being transformed into the mummy, which by the way, convenient.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why the cult is like,
you text me that. I was like, yeah. Like, yeah, that's a little bit convenient.
Yeah. Like, and we basically get the like whole exposition of the exposition moment where they all watch it. Terrible decision making by the parents.
Dire.
Terrible.
Dire.
Why would
so
you
stupid.
make the kids watch this?
Well, the kids didn't watch it, did they?
No, they're in there for a
and no, because the kids are possessed at that point, and they and the grandma comes back to life behind them, and then the main mummy one goes a bit crazy upstairs.
But isn't the daughter in the room with them for a moment of it?
Don't think. I tell you the thing. Actually, you know what? I tell you the thing that when I was really taken out of this movie. So there's a bit when the mummy in the daughter's body vomits, and there's just a big vomit patch on the floor, and no one even tries to clean it up. And then I'm just like, it's just there, and like
the whole movie.
I don't really know why no one's even tried, but it's like it's coming through the floor, it's rotting the floorboards, it's rotten, etc. And she just like is like breaking through the floorboards when the wake's happening in the house, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening? How can nobody hear that? Are you deaf?
Yeah.
Like, it's floorboards breaking and cracking, and then she like comes into the room and she's skittering around the roof. I was like, this is nonsense.
Yeah, and then so basically they watch this movie. They find like some in her wrappings or like in her skin or something. I don't know.
In the skin, yeah, the skin peeling off bits are grim.
There's like some kind of like hieroglyphics that like, but they're not hieroglyphics. They're Hellenic. I don't know. And he goes to some Egyptologist who teaches who basically gives him the yada yada knowledge to basically say, hey, it can be fixed, kind of. And so he goes on this big bad adventure to like talk to the detectives and figure out how to fix it. There's a whole side story where the detective like that was meant to that like failed at the beginning to like find the daughter, goes and finds the magician. Like there's this whole sort of side story there. They figure out how it happened. They get the video. She helps them, yada yada. They find a way to like transfer it. Dad, at the peak of the gross horror, transfers it to himself, and the movie ends with him being all fucking weird and them finding the magician who we thought was dead but isn't, I guess.
Just shot in the shoulder.
Yeah, in captivity. And they lock her in a room to basically transfer to her from the dad, it's implied, the mummy, so that A, they may have a sequel if it does well, and B, you get a bit of a like redemption arc where like the dad is safe. You know? And
I guess the way they sort of built up that was you could see, because the dad was locked in a new tomb and they won't let him out, but like the daughter was regaining herself and she was improving, and you kind of got the impression of, oh yeah, you can see she's getting over this. And then it was just so obvious that they were going to go down the route of, oh, they're showing us they found this other magician lady. Okay, cool. So obviously going to do something about that.
Why is the magician lady doing what she's doing? Does that ever get?
Because it was her family curse, I believe, something along those lines.
Really
like it's
explain that.
It took all of the emotional weight, if there was any, out of the dad's sacrifice. Like that was his only good thing he could do in the whole film, and he fucked it. I'm like, yeah, guys, no.
How about the fact that like she's chittering her teeth to Morse code? Like, first of all, this kid did not know Morse code.
She did at the beginning. At the very beginning, it's like the very first scene with her. She's learning Morse code with her dad.
Oh, okay. They had to throw that in. Well, at least they threw it in.
They did. That's a thematic bit of circular storytelling there that didn't make sense to some people. Because I mean, if you're not paying attention at any point, it's just not anything. It's just not anything.
She's just like,
do you want a bit of trivia, true or false, to wrap up while you're doing that?
Morse code, fucking teeth grinding.
That's so bad for our listeners. If anyone's not watching the video version of this, that would be really weird to hear. Trivia, true, trivia, false, DL. Like, oh my God, I can hear that. Trivia, false, trivia. The Mummy, Lee Cronin's trivia, true, trivia, false. Lee Cronin cites the films Poltergeist and the mystery film Seven as his influences for the story. Is it true or is that false? What's in the box? What's in the box?
True. Sure.
It is true. I'm not. Yeah. I get Poltergeist in many ways, but Seven? Like, what's the? I'm not sure how that's really.
What's in the sarcophagus? I don't know. Yeah, you tell me. Yeah.
Oh, that's the best way to end the show. Let's end there. No, let's do a couple more quickly. Trivia true, trivia false, DL. The opening of the film where Katie's kidnapped was inspired by a real news article Lee Cronin saw and was horrified by the idea of losing a child. Is that true or is that false?
I think you said it's inspired by like his grief, of his mom. So I'm going to say false.
You can be inspired by multiple things.
You can, but I don't think he was.
it's false. Yeah. I sort of like when I was talking to Luke afterwards and he was giving me his perspective, I was like, I get that, but it's still not a good film and it's not really that scary. It's cringe. It's cringe. It's just not scary. Like you cringe at things.
It's a
like
shit movie. Yeah.
May Calamaway, that's obviously wrong, but such is life, and May Elgety are the first Egyptian actors to appear in the Mummy movie. Is that true or is that false?
That's true. You ruined that earlier, which is fucked up.
I think I did ruin that earlier. It's crazy. Despite all the previous films set in Egypt, they had actors from other countries playing Egyptian characters.
That is the way it was, though, in the 90s. It just was that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever go back and watch the 90s movie Short Circuit, there is a white man playing an Indian person. That is racist. Finally then, DL, trivia true, trivia false. The storyline, this is why I wanted to get to this, where with the teeth was inspired by a real incident that happened to when Lee Cronin's mother died and he had to arrange her funeral. Is that true or is that false? The teeth
I hope it's false, but I think it's true.
It is true, which included making a phone call asking to keep his mother's false teeth when bringing her home for her wake. Ultimately, this film was not for me, and it doesn't seem like it's for audiences either. I hope this does not get a sequel because it does not deserve one. DL, do you want to wrap up the show?
I did my part by watching it on a ripped Indian server. This one... reply in the comments if you'd rather us see Busboys next time. I don't know. If you have gotten this far, give us a review. Do not give us a review line to this movie, please, because that would not be nice. And keep it real on the socials. Give us a shout. Shoot us an email.
Podcast Assemble everywhere. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. You find us. We got reels up there all the damn time.
Yeah, Tommy's putting in work. I see on there.
So is Ava.
What I would say is until next time, Tommy. But thank you, Ava, for editing and mastering this week.
All the great work.
Yeah, I hope my puffy morning face. You've done some good edits there. I'm sure. I really appreciate it. You can.
Where can they find Ava DL? Can you remember?
No, because my template got deleted.
You can find Ava at www.avaramshaw.com. You can find her fantastic work. She stopped DL looking like a 2,000-year-old mummy just for this one episode. It'll be back as normal next week. Next time it'll be back as absolutely standard. You can also send us bits and bobs to thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Send us things, send us memes, send us news, send us reviews. Tell us what you thought of this movie. We'd love it if you do, DL.
Yes.
Tally-ho, baby.
Tally-ho. And
Later skaters,
yeah. Appreciate it. You mummies out there.
We didn't talk about the tearing off the skin stuff. Ugh.
We did. We touched on it. No need to go anymore. We did a little nibble and ran. Anyway.
I'm out.
Laters.